Good morning, you guys. I am filming today about my 10 favorite summertime plants. So join me and I'll show you my top 10 favorites. Okay, so my garden has kind of gotten out of control right now, but one of my favorites to absolutely have out here is a tomato plant. I plant them every season because even though they're not my all-time favorite, and this is like overrun, I didn't stake them this year, this is a whole different thing, but I love them because it's something I can depend on. It's something I know is going to grow. It's going to grow well where we are. And it's like I said, it's kind of a mess right now. But I love that this year I've kind of just let them go a little bit. Just to do their own thing. So this is one of my favorites. It's like I said, it's something I know is going to come up every year. I also have some other plants in here that's like a sage. This is a marigold. And we'll get on to that in just a minute. But yeah. Plant number 1, tomatoes. Number 2 is right next to it, and it's like I said, these are marigolds. And I will take you and show you a couple of my other favorites real quick, because it's not just these marigolds. There's another type that I love as well. So right here, and these are not doing as great because they're in shade. We have a very large like oak tree in the front yard. So it gives us a lot of shade, which is good for our house, but not so much for the garden, at least in this area. These are African marigolds, and they grow up, and I'll put a better picture of them up, but they grow into these big puff balls that are beautiful. They're aromatic. This one can get up to 3 feet tall. It's really beautiful. The smell of them is like almost like a honeysuckle or something. So they grow up really big and gorgeous, and they have done really, really well so far this year. Right next to it, these are dahlias or dahlias. They're beautiful flowers. I love this one. It's got a gorgeous pink and yellow flower that it produces. This one, again, it's not the greatest because it's not in the best spot. Like if it had more sun, it would do a lot better. You can see there's some new growth coming up on it already. But it is a very beautiful plant that it's not super fragrant, but it's something that's going to pop up every year. And I'll go over in a different video the needs for all these types of plants and considerations, but right now this is one of my favorites because it comes in so many different color varieties, so many different styles. They stand up, they pop up pretty good usually if planted in the correct spot. And I had them all over this year, and they're absolutely beautiful. This is another dahlia. It's just not producing flowers right at this moment, but you can see how much better this one's doing, and it gets a little bit more sunshine than this one does. Another one of my favorites, and this one is actually like in desperate need of deadheading right now, is geraniums. These are really nice. They have a very interesting kind of smell. It's almost a, let me think. It's almost got, some reason it smells like celery to me. But these are so easy to deadhead. They just pop off when they're ready to go. Even this one, you could just go ahead and just click it off, and they just kind of pop like that. But they come in so many beautiful colors. They have, and you see this, these are not sticky. So like with petunias and stuff, they get really, really sticky when you're trying to clean them out. These are super easy. I can show you, like, I'm almost, I'm over halfway done with this one already. Like, they just pop off. But they do well. Obviously, this one is still thriving in this pretty good sized basket here. Probably a 10 to 12 inch flower pot here. It's doing really, really well. It's produced flowers all season long. I'm going to go ahead and get this guy out. You just deadhead them to make sure, you know, that they keep making really beautiful flowers. But you can see this, I'm just yanking all of these off. It's not harming the plant at all. They're just really easy to just, they go. So they produce so many flowers, so beautiful. This one's about ready to start shining. I think this is like a salmon pink color that I got on this one. This one's not doing so well, but it could be because he's planted with this guy. But there is another one in there, and you can see it's not like dead yet. So those are great. I have more around my property as well, which is really, really nice. For me, another summer must-have is Citronella. This is one of my biggest ones that I've got this year. They do get a little like woody near the bottom as they start to kind of mature and stuff. And it will die back, at least where we are in the summertime, or I mean in the winter and fall. These smell, this is called Pop Fizz. It literally smells like an orange soda. It's so beautiful. And I don't like the normal smell of like a plain citronella. I don't know what it is. It's just not my favorite. But this one, if you brush against it, that releases the smell and it keeps away a lot of mosquitoes. So I strategically planted that and lemongrass right next to each other, and those two right next to my stairs, so that it keeps all the a lot of mosquitoes away. So we don't have as many in this area at this time of the year. And one more thing about this one, these actually, and I'll see if I can find some pictures of it, these produce the most beautiful, sweet, purple flowers, and I love it. It's so pretty. They did it earlier this season, so they might be done flowering for now, but these citronella flowers are absolutely just darling when they come out. Here are some more geraniums. These are actually doing really great over here in the shady spot. Ignore the shoddy hanging macrame basket. It's been outside, so it's seen better days, but as you can see, these do beautifully. This one is like 2 tones of like pink and red. This one is like a purpley kind of color. That is, there we go. That's a better shot. And yeah, he's doing good. I do need to deadhead these guys, but this one seems to do it on its own. I don't know if it's because of the wind or what, but you can see these just, they're so hardy and they just don't care. And they're pretty sturdy little dudes. So they're going to pop up. They are, I believe, an annual, so they will die back. You'll have to do some more the next year, but they're really, really beautiful plants when they pop up. All right, roses. I was always really conflicted when it came to roses, especially because they like to look a little scrappy to me. And mine kind of looks that way right now. So that's something that I didn't really want. But this year we've had Japanese beetles like no other. So you can see my poor little rosebuds have been just chewed every time my yellow roses. And these are tea roses. So I love tea roses because they are beautiful. They're fragrant. I've had blooms as big as my hand. They're huge. They're about like 5 or so inches, maybe 6 or 7. They bloom beautifully. They're fragrant. I'll put a picture of some of my favorites up that I've had this year. They're absolutely astounding roses. And I do like to, part of the reason that I keep getting Japanese beetles is I don't want to spray them. Because if I spray them, then I can't use them when I am making my herbal recipes. So that's something that I have to be mindful of. But this one right here has a beautiful rose hip that I could probably harvest and do some stuff with. We'll consider that later. But yeah, so roses are another favorite of mine as well. I hope you can hear me with this guy, but this is called a mother of thousands. This is one of my absolute favorites. So part of the reason that I love this plant so dang much is because she puts out she puts a lot of babies out every year. That's why it's called a mother of thousands. If you look here, you can see all of those are little babies. I picked a bunch of them off this morning. Down in the bottom there, you can see those are all little babies. So those are all going to grow up and get even bigger, like these guys. And even those are putting out babies already. You can see the little babies down on there all throughout. That's a lot of them. Yes, it's overcrowded. But that's part of the issue that I have. When it comes to mother of thousands, they do put out a lot. So don't be afraid just to chuck them, because they're just going to keep putting out and keep putting out. This one actually is a daughter of one of the plants that I had last year. So the last one that I had, I'll see if I have a picture of it as well. Lots of pictures in this one. But it grew up to about probably 3 feet tall. They get pretty good size, but when I overwintered it, it didn't do well for some reason this year. But these do put out a lot. They get to be pretty good size. They grow to about the size of the pot. So I'll show you right. Mine is this big so far. This is probably a 10-12 inch pot as well. She's got a couple in there, so that'll be great. And this is from when the pot was overcrowded. So you can see the holes in it. Those were weak spots. They got really white and they were really frail. So the leaves should curl up like this. This is one of my favorites because it's dependable. I know what to expect out of her. I don't have to water her a whole lot. I don't have to do a whole bunch of like labor. It's not very labor intensive. And all through the summer, she's going to be absolutely beautiful. And she continues to grow until it gets really, really cold and chilly outside. Another one of my favorites is just having various herbs. I love having sage. I love having this. This is a mint plant. However, this is a strawberry mint. which I'm going to attempt to pour some of the water out of because my poor herbs this year have died due to like oversaturation of the soil from the rain. But this is a beautiful plant. It's a beautiful mint plant. I love having herbs because they're going to pop up. They're going to produce a lot and a lot and a lot for you as long as you don't oversaturate them. This was also a sage, and you can see the soil in this one was getting, or the soil in this one got oversaturated, and the plant had overgrown the container, and I didn't plant it correctly. So I moved this one into a bigger pot, and so it seems to be putting out a lot better now. It's very fragrant. I use it a lot. Herbs, I feel like, you can't lose when you're planting herbs because you're going to have great production as long as you take care of it. Put it in a well-draining pot, and we will, I'll address all of that kind of stuff in a later video of how to take care of different considerations you need for your plants. Ignore the mess. My kids get kind of free reign when it comes to being like outside under the porch and stuff because nobody's gonna look there. And say hi to my dog. There goes my big polar bear. Hi, Bailey. Hi. Yeah, she's a good girl. So this is another one of my favorites. This is a sweet potato vine. It's obviously gotten chewed probably by some slugs or something, but I love it because it starts off as a very small plant, and then as it gets bigger, I like to put it in a container. Now this is more of an ornamental. You can eat the potatoes that it makes. It does make potatoes, but this is more for ornamental. And I love this because I love the way that it spills out of this basket. I have done it in my vegetable garden before, just to have the beautiful cascading leaves over the side. It's one of my absolute favorite things. They trail really well, so if you put them in a hanging basket, they look really beautiful hanging all down, and they do quite well in containers. Also, I don't really have any problems with these. I haven't had them die back or anything, but I feel like if you just want to brighten up a space, this is a really good idea. However, don't get this confused with pothos. A pothos is a really great potted plant as well that's a little more sturdy, does well indoors. This one, not necessarily so much, so I like to have him outside. And you can see these leaves get a pretty good size here. So it's really fun. At the end of the summer, we will dig up all of the potatoes in this container, and some of them just get so massive. They're huge. They're like big sweet potatoes. So they do a really great job hanging out in this spot this year. I thought I would try it a little partial shade, and she has obviously done quite exceptional. And last but not least, the bit of advice that I'm going to give you is always be seeking to have something that's going to make you happy. Try something new every year. This one I tried this year. It's called Purslane, and where we live, it does an exceptional job. It is in a hanging basket. I just don't have a place to hang my hanging basket, so I tend to just kind of leave them. But this one's obviously on my kids' table. But this is also edible. I like to kind of go for plants that are safe in case my kids try and eat them. They're not toxic to animals. They're good for pollinators. I've caught bumblebees out here like scouring. You can kind of see maybe some of the little bees flying around right now. They do a great job for stuff like that. I love the different colors. This one is one of my favorites. It's such a hot pink yellow combo. They also have yellow, kind of a salmony corally color, and then these are super fun. They're really spiky, really fun, funky flowers. So never feel like you're just stuck with one variety. Always look, if you're looking at flowers and plants, to see what different types of species there are, because there's a lot that can change from plant to plant. And always try something new. Try something that's going to make you happy. If it doesn't work this year, maybe try something else the next year.